Well, good morning, everybody. If you wonder why I look off into the distance after every or before every video, if you notice some on YouTube, some of my freeze frames are like really stupid poses. So I try to make normal poses so that if it chooses a thumbnail to introduce the video, that it looks normal. So that's why I stare off into the sunset before the live stream starts. But anyway. I just wanted to cover the Democrats' better deal, which to me is a raw deal. So that's what I'm going to title this video when I post it on YouTube. The better deal is a raw deal. Democrats are trying to sell themselves as now the party of the better deal. If you notice throughout the history of the Democrats, they have a track record of putting forward deals, like the New Deal or this better deal. They're trying to go off of the old Democratic image, because they've kind of lost their way. They don't really have any issues to cover anymore, and that's why a lot of the time you see them trying to distract from their stupidity and ineptness by trying to blame Donald Trump for Russia collusion, which for a fact he hasn't done. If he had done anything, he'd be arrested already for treason, and he wouldn't be in the White House anymore. And all the people involved would also be that way. So they're just distracting you in the news to try to keep everybody from watching what Trump is trying to do. Trump is trying to make America great again, and that's what his promise was to America. And if you watch, you'll see that the Democrats are constantly obstructing that. And the Democrats now, with this better deal thing, are just trying to make America better. Better than what? Than what it is? I mean, you look at the economic statistics, we're in trouble. You look at the education statistics, we're in trouble. Everything is in trouble. So when you say better, got a better deal, it's not much better. Remember who gave us Obamacare. I have a friend on Facebook named Reginald who actually asked me a question about this. What is the problem with Obamacare? He doesn't really know much about insurance. Really, to simplify what insurance is almost like the insurance company is your friend, and you are trying to make a bet against each other. The insurance company is betting that you're going to be healthy, and you're betting that you're going to get sick at some point. The insurance company's bet, though, is upfront. They give you a windfall bet, say $100,000 or $200,000 worth of payout if they lose. They're betting you're going to stay healthy, okay? And your exchange is that you're betting you're going to get sick at some point. And so what you're betting is small increments of payments to the insurance company before the end of the bet comes in. And so your small increments are called premium on your insurance. So it's a bet against each other. And what Obamacare did was it forced you to go into this bet, number one, if you're the one betting against the insurance company. Some people don't want to go into bets. They don't like to gamble. So they don't even get involved in healthcare insurance, If they get sick, they very rarely get sick, first of all. And if they do get sick, sometimes they prefer to try to ride out the illness. That's an economic decision. You can decide to do that. I'm not that type of person. I had really good healthcare coverage before Obamacare, and I paid for it. So anyway, the insurance companies now are also being forced to participate in a bet. But now, through Obamacare said that they're going to cover pre-existing illnesses or pre-existing conditions. Well, remember what the insurance company's bet was. Their bet was that you're going to stay healthy. Okay? And now, if they're supposed to go into a bet where you already are sick before they place the bet, in other words, they're supposed to cover a pre-existing sickness or illness before they place that bet. That bet is a guaranteed loss for the insurance company. Okay, now, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a leftist, progressive liberal, a conservative, a neoconservative, or a libertarian, use your brain here. Put yourself in the shoes of the insurance company. Would you go into a bet that you're guaranteed to lose from the get-go? Honestly, would you put your money on the table knowing you are going to lose for sure? There's no doubt. You are guaranteed that loss. Would you do it? And you expect insurance companies to do it? That's what Obamacare made them do. It made them enter the bet knowing they already lost. And then the Republicans and the conservatives and libertarians have basically been telling everybody before Obamacare was passed that this was going to happen. Obamacare was going to fail. And nobody could grasp why it was going to fail except for us. We've been saying it all along, and now it's failing. Obamacare is failing. Why? Insurance companies are pulling out of the exchanges. They don't want to be part of that exchange. Can you blame them? You know, a lot of progressive leftists support Democrats when they present these kinds of things because it sounds good. You get free health care. You never get free health care. Somebody's got to pay. Nothing is free in this world. It's all based on exchange. You get something when you exchange it for something else. We're no longer on a barter system, so the banking system has got us on the dollar system. You exchange your dollars for something else, for a good or service. Well, if you don't have dollars, which most people who are broke don't have, you can't buy it. And then Obamacare is forcing people to buy it, or you get penalized $2,000 for not participating in Obamacare. Okay, so on the consumer side, you're screwed no matter what. You either have to spend your money on healthcare instead of food, or you get penalized $2,000 instead of food, or paying your rent, or whatever else you would normally, logically decide to use your money on. This is the dictatorial authoritarianism of Obamacare. And then also as an exchange, as a insurance company trying to go on an exchange, you're guaranteed to lose? No, they don't want to be part of that. So they're withdrawing from the exchanges. So a lot of insurance companies, there are states where you no longer have insurance companies participating in Obamacare, in the exchanges. They've withdrawn. So you can't even get a health care plan. So all the things that President Obama promised you were lies. All the things that Democrats promised you were lies. Nancy Pelosi saying, we don't know what's in the health care bill, but we have to pass it in order for you to find out. Again, use your brain. Don't let these Democrats, these leftists, I shouldn't really pick on all Democrats because there are conservative Democrats who think very similar to conservative Republicans. They know what's going on, and unfortunately they're getting a bad rap because the Democratic Party has gone communist and leftist and retarded and really suicidal. You know, and they think that by fighting tooth and nail, they're going to defend their stupidity, but they're really revealing themselves for what they are the more you witness. But you have to be intelligent yourself to witness what's going on here and use your brain to understand what's happening. Otherwise, they're going to con you. They're going to brainwash you into following them, and you're going to vote for things that do not benefit you. So here's the other thing that was going on with this is the reason why premiums were going up. For those insurance companies that couldn't afford to lose money as part of Obamacare, and they backed out. Okay, they backed out of the exchanges. But for those insurance companies that were huge, they're tremendous, they're multi-billion-dollar insurance companies, they can afford to pretty much participate in Obamacare. But the way they participated in Obamacare is they would charge you a higher premium. So you would see premiums rise for rich people. So this is basically a communist mentality of transfer of wealth. Socialism is transfer of wealth. Take from the rich, give to the poor. Robin Hood, I always hated that story because theft has never been my way of solving problems. You don't steal from people in order to make people prosper. It's only in very, very, very desperate situations. There is a story in the Bible where King David and his soldiers are fighting a battle and they're starving to death. So they did a very forbidden thing spiritually, which was to go into the temple and steal the bread of presence. First of all, you couldn't go into the holy area without being a priest at that time, and it was forbidden by the law. But King David and his troops were starving, and they went in and they ate the holy bread, which only the priests were allowed to touch. So there was an example in the Bible where someone was allowed to steal. But that was a situation where they would have starved to death otherwise, or they would have been so weak in battle because they didn't have any sustenance that the enemy would have killed them. That is like the only time the Bible has ever talked about stealing as being okay. And otherwise, there are commandments, and there's a command. One of the commandments is, thou shalt not steal. Or in modern language, thou shalt not steal. You will not steal, in other words. Stealing is not good, because when you steal, you harm other people. So this Robin Hood mentality of the leftist Democrats, the progressive Democrats, is basically stealing in order to progress or in order to move forward. What they're not considering is that when you steal, you have to take from someone else. And when you take from someone else, you're taking food from their mouth. You're taking life from their mouth, from their body. You're taking sustenance from them, from their families. And Democrats are basically murderers, because it's another way of murdering people, but slowly. You're taking their food and letting them starve to death so that you can eat. That is never a good solution. And so, this better deal that you're hearing from the Democrats trying to rebrand themselves because they've embarrassed themselves as losers and really unimaginative so-called progressives who are really taking us backwards instead of forward. Progress is supposed to move you forward. And that's always what their slogans are. Obama with forward, Hillary Clinton with forward together, stronger together, forward, 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 forward. Always talking forward, but pulling everyone back and obstructing and blocking freeways. This is their mentalities. Blocking, stopping, moving backwards. That's the forward put into practice by these Democrats. Just imagine now what better means. Your better deal is going to be a worse deal. And so let's look at all of their philosophies. You look at their illegal immigration philosophies. They want to create sanctuary cities. They talk about how we're a nation of immigrants and we should be allowing people to come here no matter what. So they create sanctuary cities. Whether illegally or legal, you can come here is their philosophy. Okay, well, let's look at what happened recently. Before we go into that, let me dial it back. What do you have to do when you come here illegally? You usually have to do something in the shadows. You have to do something that is hidden, that is not noticeable from the onset. And typically, when you're doing things that way, in order to do it that way, you have to take greater risks. And so what we found in the past, when illegal immigrants come here, we know that Border Patrol is usually watching for them, so they have to go at night. They usually have to cross areas where they are uninhabited, and typically uninhabited areas are known as deserts because people cannot live there. That's why they're uninhabited. You cannot get water in the desert. You cannot get shelter in the desert. The temperature swings are very drastic. It can get into the freezing at night in the winter, and it can get super, super hot in the daytime during the summer. And then, so number one, to have no water and to have it super hot, you can die. So Democrats basically are endangering people. At the wintertime, it can get super cold, and if you don't have the proper covering and no shelter, you can die. Again, Democrats are endangering people. So to do things illegally is dangerous, because if you're doing it legally, you don't have to worry about hiding from the police. You don't have to worry about hiding from ICE and immigration and Border Patrol. You don't have to worry about those things because you're within the law. You're operating within the bounds of the law, and so the government will not be looking for you. So a legal immigrant can come here without any worry of any bodily injury. And this is our contention as conservatives, whether you're a libertarian or a Republican conservative or even some Democratic conservatives do not like illegal immigration because it endangers the lives of people. And these law-breaking Democrats and progressives and leftists support breaking the law because they know that it will help them get votes, which is also illegal for an illegal immigrant to vote in our elections and elect a representative for which we citizens pay taxes, but undocumented, like they like to call them, aliens, do not pay taxes. How would you know? Because they're undocumented. So those claims that the left likes to make about them paying taxes are garbage because there's no way to track that. The illegal immigrants, the illegal aliens, are actually a burden on our system. And just like Obamacare, when you're guaranteed to lose there, someone's got to cover it, right? So guess who covers it? You either cover it in Obamacare when the insurance company is guaranteed to lose, they're going to make the other side pay for it. So you pay for it in higher premiums. Well, here in the government side, if you're guaranteed to lose in terms of not being able to collect taxes from these illegal immigrants, guess who has to pay the taxes on that? The tax-paying citizens, the legal immigrants. Anyone who comes here legally and follows the law has to pay the bills for those people who don't pay the bills. Okay, so if you're struggling in your life right now, you're losing your job, you can't find another job, you can't pay your bills, and you're an American citizen, you've been following the law, but you vote Democrat, you've been suckered by this better deal that the Democrats have always been selling you. Because really, the better deal is no different than the old deal. The old deal is the same deal. It's a raw deal. You're getting screwed. It's no deal at all. You're paying for things that you really shouldn't be paying for. And so, this is the story that just happened recently. We had a truck, a semi-truck that was discovered at a Walmart in Texas. 8 people died in it, maybe 9 now because somebody was in the hospital and was dying. And the story is that it was filled up with up to 200 people in the trailer. 200 people in the trailer packed like sardines. If you look at the weather that's going on in Texas, it's very similar to what's going on in California. Right now we got 100-degree weather here. They got the same kind of weather going on in Texas. Texas is known for having droughts just like California. Can you imagine 200 people in a tractor trailer? I don't know if many people can even picture that. They had to have been packed in there like sardines. And to know how to breathe in there, oxygen, not likely. They lock the doors to keep the people inside there. And in order for people to breathe, oxygen gets thin. They probably had to bust a hole in the wall in order to share the breaths, and everybody had to rotate. So there's no wonder that people died in that. 10 people, I think, was the last number now that I'm thinking about it. I read 10 people is the updated number from that. And what happened to those 200 other people? Well, they only had like 30 that the law enforcement discovered when they were called, because some people broke out and were staggering around in the parking lot of the Walmart, and people called 911 because they could see people were like collapsing. So the Democrats have endangered the lives of these people. And this is nothing new. We've always known that it was dangerous. I mean, I go down to San Diego and you drive on the freeways there near the border, and they've got images of people, of a family where a dad and a mom are running. The mom is grabbing the child, and the child is like hanging from the back of the mom, like flying in the image of the sign, to warn us as we're driving along as travelers that there could be people crossing the streets like deer, and that we need to be careful on our speed and be alert so that we don't hit them. We're endangering these people from Mexico who are coming here illegally, and they are probably looking for a better life. I have no problem with you trying to come to this country. This country has many benefits for everyone, but do it legally. Don't put your family at risk. And you see what's going on now, because it's not being enforced at the borders. We don't have a border wall. We don't have the enforcement capabilities to stop these people from coming across the border. They're endangering their own lives, and people are taking advantage of that. And you know what? I can pretty much guarantee you that the Democrats are somehow involved with trafficking humans. So they're somehow making money from this, because that's the way the Democrats do things. They're making money. Somehow they're involved with the traffickers that are bringing them over, and the exorbitant fees that they charge to smuggle people across the border, because it's black market. It's illegal. So because it's illegal, those smugglers can charge a premium on their services, because it's to factor in the risk of getting caught for doing something illegal. I've seen this with gun control. Look up Leland Yee. Leland Yee was a Democrat in California who footed a bill to make assault whatever assault rifles are, to make assault rifles illegal. You know, they helped to ban assault rifles. Assault rifle, there's no such thing as an assault rifle. Any weapon where you make a threat to harm somebody is an assault weapon, and you can use anything as a weapon. You can use a steering wheel, you can use a car, you can use a knife. You wanna ban everything? That's the ridiculousness of Democrats. They want to ban everything because there are a few people who misuse things. But in the end, you find out that the ones who are banning things, the legislators, the Democrats, the politicians who ban things, actually do so because they know that when they ban it, they create a black market or an illegal market. And then they can get involved with funding people to smuggle those things. So Leland Yee made these weapons illegal, what he terms weapons illegal, and then the next thing you find out, he's shipping these weapons to the Chinese triads and making a pretty penny off of that, because now he's charging a premium because there's risk now involved because it's illegal. So watch out for these Democrats. They are real criminals. And again, I shouldn't pick on all Democrats because there are good Democrats out there, but a good majority of Democrats. The Democratic Party is very different from the Republican Party, and they like to use that against the Republican Party. I'm a Republican. I'll always be a Republican because I believe in the constitutional republic that was established by the founding fathers of this country. It may not be in effect anymore, but I still believe in it. And so the Democrats are different. They're very communist and socialist in their thinking. So when Democrats decide to pass a bill, they will stick together. They're like sheep. They're like, bah, very dumb. Bah. One jumps off the cliff, bah, they all gotta go. Bah. You want to be a Democrat? It's not a jackass. You shouldn't be a jackass as your symbol. It should be a dumb sheep. Bah. One Democrat goes over the edge, bah, we all gotta go, bah, we gotta stick together, bah, move forward, bah, off the cliff, bah. Retarded. I would rather be a Republican whose symbol is the elephant. Elephant is a majestic animal. An elephant has a phenomenal memory. They look after their young. Yes, they roam in packs too, but they're smaller packs. And they make sure they watch out for each other. Democrats are like sheep. They lead each other they lead each other over a cliff, and they all die together, and they all willingly follow each other to the death. And that's the way Democrats are. Truly reconsider what your position is politically. There's more I could cover in terms of how the Democrats really end up killing people, leading to death and starvation and things like that. But I think that's enough. That's sufficient for you to see that this better deal is really a mistake. It's a public service announcement that's a big mistake for the Democrats because it's going to make them look stupid, just like everything else they do. All their fake news is stupid. They claimed it wasn't fake news, and then they've been discovered more and more about how they staged events. One more thing. They embrace Islam. Islam is very against everything the Democrats are for, or the progressives are for, and yet they embrace it. And you'll see how they end up killing their own people through Islam. Islam's violence, and you're seeing it in Europe. They accept all these Muslim migrants in there without vetting them, and they end up having these attacks all throughout Europe, and these riots. France is, last I saw, I think it was yesterday, France is having a bunch of riots right now. They burned like 600 cars last I read. Probably more, because like I said, I can't keep up on everything completely. But and then you look at Jerusalem, the Muslims going there. You had 2 Muslims attack a couple of guards in Jerusalem, and they locked out the Muslims from the mosque there, and you got massive protests going on over there. Muslims, I'm sorry, you guys, just Sharia law. I tried to defend you the longest that I could, but the more I'm seeing from you guys, your own behaviors are like the Democrats. You're committing your own suicide, and the Democrats are committing suicide too by their decisions. And some of them are starting to try to flip their image and try to make themselves look like conservatives, where they're trying to get out of the political correct perspective now, where it's like, oh, we shouldn't be offended anymore, and it's going to be interesting to see how they flip this game. But They're going to try to do the better deal now, and they're going to try to do this new image with their anti-political correctness and anti-snowflake, because it's been so devastating to their philosophy. But in the end, if the policies are the same, it's all the same. They're just changing their name. So be very careful in what you support and how you vote. Okay, I think that's sufficient. God bless you guys. Take care.